What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Ash Brown, and I'm here with the wonderful Nora. Hello, Nora.
Hi, Ash. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm happy to speak to you today.
Yes.
I miss you.
Oh, I miss you too. All right, my sister in the flights. All right. It's crazy. We didn't even get to work together. But that's a whole nother can of beans.
That's a whole other episode.
That's
right
a whole
there.
other. All right, you guys. So today we're going to talk about something that is definitely wagging on a lot of tongues just worldwide. I'm talking about the flight attendant position. Ooh, what it is to be a flight attendant. And it's just so wonderful and glorious and glamorous.
Coffee, tea, or me?
Oh, my goodness.
No. No.
So everyone has so many misconceptions, Nora, about being a flight attendant. So I wanted us to come together, and you're Central, correct? You're Central time? Yeah. So you're Central, and I'm Eastern, and yes, we're best buddies. Okay, so a little bit background about Nora and myself. Nora and myself were employees at an airline, and we actually met at our interview, and we just immediately just clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my sister. This is it.
Yes.
So we...
love.
Yes. So we bonded over the foolishness that we entailed.
You didn't know it at the time. We thought we were being smart.
Yeah, we thought
we were being sassy.
Yeah, we thought we were, getting to that future. Oh my gosh, you travel anywhere in the world. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so easy. And so let's go over. Okay, let's start at the beginning, Nora. All right, what does it mean to be a flight attendant, in your opinion? What are some of the important traits?
So people say this over and over, and I'm going to say it again. Being a flight attendant is not a job. It's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It is not a 9-to-5 job. And we're not just talking about the schedule, like you go to work at a certain time and you go home at a certain time. It's not even about that. You are, you have to have a certain mindset. I mean, and then of course everybody says, I want to be a flight attendant because I love to travel. Well, of course, yeah. And the destinations can be fabulous, and the people you meet can be fabulous, but you're also pushing a humongous, 50, 100-pound cart up and down the aisle?
Yeah.
Hitting people in the knees, hitting people in the ankles.
Yeah.
You run out of Pepsi, so you have to offer them Coke, and you have to clean up people when they're sick.
Yeah.
You have to assist if somebody gets really sick. And that's, you're like a mom, a nurse, a referee.
Yeah. You're a therapist.
A housekeeper, a therapist.
The nanny.
A waitress.
Oh, yeah.
And an EMT. All at once.
All at once, without the certifications, without the degrees, without the experience. One thing that they told me at my first airline, which rang true throughout everything that I've done, is when you're a flight attendant and you're boarding and there's an issue with the passenger, you better settle that thing out right there and then while you're on the ground. Settle it while you're on the ground, because once you're up in the sky, you can't call the police. You can't call customer service. Oh, you want to get the gate agent? Oh, please, that's a wrap. Right? Go get the gate agent.
Sometimes you can't even get customer service when you're on the ground.
Oh, yeah. A couple of them don't even have telephones anymore.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's having to make those split-second decisions. You get to kind of pick up on a certain passenger or a certain family or a couple or a group is coming on board. I kind of know I need to keep an eye on them because they might look like they're already intoxicated. Legally, you're not supposed to let them on, but anyway. or there's somebody who's a nervous flyer. I've had a few of those, and I totally get that.
Oh, yeah.
But also, someone who's not nice, who's not respectful. Yeah. Is it going to turn into a humongous blowout? 30,000 feet over the ocean? What's going to happen then? I mean, you have to consider the safety of the entire, all of the passengers, all of the crew, the flight deck as well.
Yeah.
And you are the one that has to solve these problems, all with a smile on your face.
Paint a smile on. Because I think people don't understand that that's a whole part of the job. The main focal point of the job and the position is safety. Keeping yourself safe, keeping your passengers safe, making sure that the flight deck is protected at all costs. That's the main, that's the foundation of what the job is. Everything else is additional, and depending on the company that they'll add little sprinkles here and there of what's needed in a flight. But the main purpose of the job is safety. And Nora, I'm sure that you've witnessed some of the foolery as well with some of our colleagues that don't take the job seriously, sleeping in your jump seat. Now that right there is like all kind of FAA violations. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands in fees and fines. So that right there is
losing your job. And
absolutely,
when you get when you perform in that way or do certain things while you're on the clock, it won't just get you a fine or a reprimand or a demerit or whatever you want to call it, or a meeting with your boss, or even get fired. You might get fired. That's serious. You might not ever get picked up by any other airline.
Because you're talking about federal.
Because that's something that's the federal government who tells you need to do this. You should not be doing this again, and it comes down to safety.
Yeah.
But also just the attitude. Yeah. If you are a fireman or a policeman, policewoman, or an EMT, you have to perform certain duties. You have to keep people safe. You have to help people when they're sick or in an accident or whatever. But you're also in customer service. You're also in hospitality. So it's a very special combination that a flight attendant has to be. And when you watch these YouTubers, these TikTokers, these Instagrammers who are, get ready with me, a day in the life.
So fabulous.
Getting ready to go on a 3-day trip. Shoot, that works. That works to lure people in. It lured me in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't see how demanding it is.
Yeah.
And how particular the job is. And so it's a fabulous job. You have to look at everything on your plate that you have to take care of, that you have to be responsible for. And I don't think that everybody understands that until you've done it,
Exactly. And piggybacking off of what you were saying about the federal government, people don't understand. Being a flight attendant, this position, this job, it's a privilege. It's not a right. Everybody can't be a flight attendant. Do you know how many people I saw taken out? I'll give you this for context, okay? My very first airline, there were 119 people in my class. How many of those people do you think graduated with me, Nora?
50.
54. 54 people graduated. So it was
almost
like
half.
Yeah,
right?
Nearly half.
I'm not a math person. You tell me. What's the percentage there?
Yeah, nearly half. A little over half. But it was just it was crazy. But this position needs to be taken seriously. Punctuality, that's a top-notch thing. There are airlines that will dismiss you that while you're in training, and you're late getting back, if they say 10 minutes and 12 minutes and you're still in the, in the back room or you're getting a snack, guess what? You are done. There is no, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. It doesn't matter. Because when you've got flights that you have to make, and you have to make it on time so that they don't fall behind on schedule, you have that responsibility to your airline. So I understand it is a privilege. It is not a right. There's a lot of people that have been pulled out during trainings. I've seen people lose their job on the line. And some people just shouldn't even be. I don't know how they got through, Nora. It's not easy. Training is not easy. So
no,
I don't know how some people just slip through.
And it's not just the information. It's all of those extra little things like showing up. Or if you're not early, you're late.
Yeah,
that's pretty much all we heard in training. Mm-hmm. If you're not 10 minutes early for class, for an exam, for a demo, for whatever, to meet the shuttle, you're late. Mm-hmm. And you start working even on your. I've known people that were dismissed on their IOE when they were at their destination, and they had to find their own way back home. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't show up on time. They missed the shuttle, or they got lost in the airport and they couldn't find the gate. Oh, I had a friend who was telling me about Heathrow. And I've never flown into Heathrow either for work or for fun. Yeah. Apparently there's something with the shuttle. You even have to take a bus. You land in a certain terminal, and I don't know. She got a reprimand. She didn't get fired, but she was heavily reprimanded because I think she commercialed in and was picking up somebody else's trip or something. Yeah. And she got lost. And it wasn't, how can I say? Not that it wasn't her fault. It wasn't something that she did intentionally. She'd never been at that airport. She didn't know, which KCM to go through or you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, you have to be on the ball. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. And it's tough. Those are the things that the influencers, FA influencers,
they don't talk about. They don't share that part of it. But Nora, everything's so wonderful. Look, she's taking a flight to Paris now. It's beautiful. Oh, yes. And it's, she gets all these benefits, and oh my gosh, it's just the perfect life. Man. But they also don't tell you when the airport forgets to schedule your shuttle from the airport. And you're sitting there for 2-3 hours like we were a couple of times. And stuff happens and you get it, but it's also, like Nora said, it's a part of the job. You get the good and the bad. So you get both forces on it. Now, I want to get into, Nora, what people need to consider as they embark on this journey. And I wrote down a few things, and you're free to add some to it. But number one, I put down as your base. Where are you going to be based out of? Now,
do you want to explain what that means?
Yes, please do.
What does it mean to be based somewhere?
Right.
Do you want to explain? Do you want to?
Oh, no. You go ahead. Yeah. They hear me enough.
So, the last airline that we were with, the one that Ash and I were working for the same airline, where we met at the interview and in training. That particular airline had. How many bases did they make available to us? They had, I think Baltimore, DFW,
Dallas
Seattle.
Was not on the list. I remember Dallas wasn't. Seattle was. And I think Vegas was?
Vegas. So let's say that you apply to an airline, and they're going to let you know when you apply. Mm-hmm. They're going to give you, some airlines do this, some don't. Some airlines will kind of give you, these are the airlines that we have flight attendant bases out of. And a base means that flight attendant, that employee, that cabin crew's flights are going to start and end out of that city. For instance, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you live in Los Angeles or Houston or Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And you say, when you apply, they ask you, like, that's one of the first questions they ask you on the application before they even accept your application. Are you willing to relocate? And you always say yes. That's what all of the tips videos tell you. Yeah. It doesn't matter if, whatever, you just say, I'm willing to relocate. Because at the end of training, maybe the last week or so, they will have this big, sometimes it's like a big ceremony, like a big exciting ceremony. And they'll tell you where they are going to send you, where you are going to be based once you complete your training successfully, pass all your tests and all that stuff. And you have, again, depending on the airline, 3 to 7 days to relocate and be ready in your base to start flying, to start working. Now, a lot of flight attendants commute, and I'm going to say commute in quotes, commute, because this is not like commuting from one side of town to the other.
No, absolutely not.
This is not like commuting from one town to the other. You have to, if you are not within, I think, 2 hours of your base or something, and that again differs according to airline. You have to be at that airport ready to go, either for a trip or for a reserve period. And we'll talk about reserve later. That's like a whole other ball of wax.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, depending on the airline, again, you might have flight benefits, but if you're a non-revving passenger, that means non-revenue. I feel like I'm just going down a freaking rabbit hole because it's so complicated. Long story short, commuting is a pain in the butt. Yeah. And it is expensive. And if you know that your trip or your reserve time starts at 5 a.m. on Friday, you're going to want to fly in a day or two earlier. Where are you going to stay? Where are you going to sleep? Are you going to pay for a crash pad and sleep with a bunch of other chicks, like in a dormitory or a,
oh my goodness,
a sorority house? No, that's for people of a certain age. No comment there. Yeah. We're not going to do that. Or you stay in a hotel, but you pay for that hotel. The airline does not pay for your hotel or lodging or anything unless you are on a trip. Yeah. So at the beginning of my time with this last airline that Ash and I were at, I was living in a town and I was based in another town, a 2-hour flight away. I had to fly in the day before and then fly home. So
it can become a really big frustration.
It's very hard.
Yeah. And especially, because more times than none, you're never going to get your base that you ask for in training. Unless, they're,
not right off the bat.
Not right off the bat, I would say, just because it's really onto the company's needs. The company could have 10 different bases throughout the U.S. You're guaranteed to probably be able to pick from maybe 3 or 4, if that much. So what Nora was trying to say as far as the commuting can be a pain in the ass. I'll label this episode explicit because I said ass. But no, it can be a pain because, like you said, okay, say I'm in Georgia, and a bit of my situation was I was kind of finagling and figuring out between a crash pad and a hotel situation. I ended up just using my hotel points. So I had done the hotel crash pad years previously with my other airline, and COVID happened, and it just really kind of scarred me and made me not want to room in close proximity to people like that ever again. Because it's people were coming back in and they're coughing and sneezing and COVID's happening and we don't know what COVID is. And it just became a really just weird situation. So I had to take it upon myself to book my own hotels, use my hotel points, book rooms sometimes, and actually spend money that I didn't have just to have somewhere to lay my head, just to have somewhere to just prepare for a trip if I wasn't going home to Atlanta. So they may say, hey, reserve. Oh, we didn't go into reserve yet. Oh, goodness. Funners. Reserve. Reserve is going to be something that every flight attendant is going to have to deal with in their career at some point, whether you want to or not. Every airline does it. Some airlines will try to say, oh, well, we're not really reserved because blah, 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 blah. No, what you're doing is you're occupying people's time because they have to be ready to go if you need them.
You're on standby. Basically.
You're on standby. You're on standby. And a lot of times you're hoping that they don't call you. Sometimes when you're ready for them to call you, they never call. But it's the situations of when you're like, oh, please don't call me. I'm tired. I'm sick. I don't feel good. We got a trip for you. And you have to pick up that phone when they call you and answer and make sure that you get all the details about your trip. And you just accept it at face value. Now, people have also been let go for not answering their phone in time or not calling back crew scheduling.
You have a certain amount of time. If you don't pick up, like if you're in the bathroom or in the shower or you're asleep, if you don't pick up, you have to call back within, I think, 10 minutes. And if you don't, you're fired.
Yeah.
They don't even...
There's no question about it.
I think that doesn't even, you can't even be reprimanded or anything like that. You just lose, you're gone.
Yeah,
you're fired.
And especially if you're still on probation, they're looking for a reason to get rid of you. They're looking for a reason. So, as far as like the reserve periods, it was a little extra stressful this time for me. I did a crash pad at my first airline. And this is telling you guys the story of how the base situation just won't work out when you think it will. I graduated and they told me where I was going. And before we ended up, we had like a 2-week, which was crazy. We had a 2-week training period, which was just like information dense.
Your first airline, you only trained for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was like maybe 2.5 weeks, Nora.
I don't think you told me that. You told me where it was located. You didn't tell me how short it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
wow.
But it was so information dense that it was so stressful because we were just trying to digest so much material. But it was like if I stretch it, maybe 2.5 weeks, Nora. It was not 3 weeks. It was not 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Dude. We'll talk afterwards.
Oh, that's crazy. And was it all 7 days a week? Did you even get one day off?
We got one. I think we got Sundays off.
Okay.
I think we got Sundays off, but it was like straight on 6 days a week. Let's hit the pavement running. So with that first airline, one of the options that they gave me was Las Vegas, Nevada. I see Orlando. And I'm like, oh, yes, we're going to do Orlando. My family and everything's still in Georgia. That's what would one consider a good commute.
Disney World.
An
Who
easy
love
commute.
That?
Yeah, it's going to be an easy commute to Atlanta, the world's, most busiest airport. So I'm like, okay, I want to get Orlando. I'm talking with the instructors and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, Ash, you're definitely going to get Orlando. Oh, my gosh, you're totally going to get Orlando. It's so going to be easy. So easy for you. Easy commute. On graduation day, we get these little envelopes full of where we're going to get based. And I open up my envelope and it says Las Vegas, Nevada. And I was like, okay. It was a shock because I said Nevada. I'd been to Vegas a couple of times, but I'd never lived there. And so it was a stunning shock for me. I was like, holy cow. Like, this really is happening. So they sent me to Las Vegas, Nevada in the middle of July.
Oh, Lord.
It was 127 degrees Fahrenheit.
I got a hot flash just listening to that.
I have never seen heat like that in my life, Nora. I'm an East Coaster. I was born in New York, raised in the South. I've never seen heat like that before. I didn't know that it could continue to just go like that. Not in real life. So I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, this is crazy. My phone is broken or something. So I tapped the lady next to me. I'm like, hey, and
then it melted in your hand.
I asked the lady next to me, I'm like, hey, so my phone is acting up. What is the temperature? She's like, oh, it's 127. Like, just very nonchalant, just very casual. Yeah, it's 127. And I'm like, this is not normal. Like, are we near hell?
No.
Like, why is it so hot? So that was just an adjustment I had to make. I found a crash pad out there that was reasonable. I got to room with a lot of my colleagues and stuff, which was good. And we kind of looked out for each other. And it was a sweet deal. It was a sweet situation. It was pre-pandemic. Well, I put in for a transfer to get to, Orlando. And that came through a couple months later. I forgot when. Came through a couple months later. So I was like, shoot, I am gone. Here I come, Orlando. Get to Orlando, and pandemic starts. And it's just like, it was absolutely just a comedy of errors, Nora. It was just an eerie time. Like, I already don't really like Florida, and this made me dislike it even more. But that is just a part of, again, you have to adjust to the situation, because essentially it's just like the military. Once you've signed your name on the dotted line, they own you. And you have to do their bidding, like, because you've signed up for this. You said that you don't care where they base you. You don't care where they get based. You're
willing to relocate.
Yes. You're willing to relocate. And you're willing to follow all of our rules and regulations, and you're supposed to know what to do on the flights. And, there's so much that you agree to. And there's so much more that is implied, is applied. And it just turns out to be a lot more than any of us really could have thought about. I mean, also, I want to talk about, because I kind of breezed over it, crash pads. Crash pads are shared living environments. So this could be someone's house. This could be a hotel. I did the hotel crash pad in Orlando, and it was a sweet deal just because one of the top things that flight attendants always need help with is transportation. And if you're living or going into a certain area and you don't necessarily live there, you probably don't have your car there. So being at a hotel that has a shuttle to the airport, that kind of helps you break even. It helps along with that situation. But like I said, we were in close quarters. Like, they fit 2 sets of bunk beds in each suite, Nora. And it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was 8 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
Did you pay for a cold bed or a hot bed?
I don't know. I guess I
Did you leave your stuff there? Did you have any belongings that you left there?
No,
ever?
But we would hide stuff certain places. We were in a residence inn. So, residence inn is like more like a house, because they trying to give you that house
like a little
feel.
condo.
Right. So you
kitchen and stuff like that.
You have a full kitchen, you have a full oven, like everything is, set up there. So in the suites are, bigger than usual, but they probably shouldn't have had bunk beds in there. But how we did it was,
even a fire violation.
It probably at some point it probably is now.
Probably.
But it's one of those things where you got whatever bed was empty. Now you could go to housekeeping and get more cleaner linens if you wanted to, or get. I would do that regularly. I did that regularly because I didn't trust people. I'm like, it just was weird. But I made do with it because I was like, shoot, I can't afford an apartment in Orlando. So this crash pad is going to have to work out for me.
That's another thing about bases. When you look up an airline, or you sign with an airline, or training, whatever, people talk about junior and senior bases. You want to explain the difference between those two?
Yeah, go through that. They'll love that.
So a junior base is a base where they send the newbies, the people who are newer employees. And the more seniority you have, there are a lot of perks to accumulating or gaining seniority or moving up the seniority, however long you're with the company. And then that's where you get your senior basis. Yeah. Now, typically, where is everybody going to want to live? They're going to want to live in a city where the cost of living is not so bad. Mm-hmm. So they're going to send the juniors to the junior basis, which is places like Orlando, expensive. Mm-hmm. New York, New Jersey, expensive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the cheaper places, not that anywhere's cheap to live these days, but, in the scale, that's where the people with more seniority are. Yep. And again, it depends on the airlines. It depends on the airline's needs. They might have opened a brand new base in some super fabulous, inexpensive city, and they might send people there because nobody else wants to go there. Yeah. And so that's another thing. You're starting out at the bottom of the pay scale, at the bottom of the seniority scale. Mm-hmm. And you're probably going to be living at in one of the most expensive cities that place is based in. Mm-hmm. That's another thing, mm-hmm. which is why you end up in these crash pads because
you can't afford anything else. And then also
you can't afford an apartment. Plus, you're hoping that you're going to get moved to your number one base or figure out some kind of commuting situation. So you're not going to take out a lease in an apartment or a house or anything like that. So you're living out of your suitcase, honey.
Yeah. I mean,
literally.
Unless you have a cousin named, like, I don't know, Goldie Hawn or something, or George Clooney is your uncle, I would say this may not be the lifestyle for everyone. Last on my list, Nora, of things that I wanted to, kind of just demystify for people is money, bills, car note, mortgage. If you have any of the above, this lifestyle may not be for you because you're going to be late. That first year, sweetheart, that first year, you're going to be broke as a joke. Like, unless your last name is Obama or something else. I don't know. It could be anything else. But you're going to be broke. You're going to be broker than broke. You're going to be the brokest that you've probably ever been in your natural adult life. So if you have a mortgage, if you have a car note, this is not the lifestyle for you right now.
If you have children.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Nora.
Kids who are young.
Yes.
Something that I've read more often than I would have ever expected to, like on message boards and things like that. Young single parents, first of all, who have young children or who are pregnant, saying, I really want to do this. It's my dream. I've always wanted to do this, but I have a 2-year-old and I don't have a partner. I've always wanted to do this, but I have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I don't have any close relatives that can take care of my child. Is there any way I can be home every night? No. No. There are a few airlines that's like their thing.
Their model, yeah.
They just do turns, which is where you work a flight over and back in one day.
Yeah.
It's not a trip where you go and you're kind of like hopscotching to different cities and spending the night in different cities. There are a few airlines, regional namely, that do turns. But how many times have you heard of someone spend the night in the airport because their flight was canceled? Guess what? That happens to every airline.
Yeah.
Potentially could happen to any flight in any city.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't bet on that either. And that's just not even a money thing.
No.
I mean, that's just a logistics, a practicality thing. I mean, people are already, the way that our country is working, people are already spending like 3/4 of their paycheck just on childcare. Like you're basically paying for the privilege to leave your house and pay for somebody else to take care of your baby. Mm-hmm. That sucks.
Yeah.
That is not fair.
Mm-mm.
But it's not changing anytime soon. And this industry is like think of all of the responsibilities that go with being a mom.
Yeah.
Or a parent. I'm going to say a parent. Add to that the responsibilities and obligations that go into being a single parent, and then times like 1,000 if you want to fly, because that's just
it's just a lot.
You see some YouTubers who have children who worked while they were pregnant, but look at, they probably had a partner. They probably lived with their family.
Yeah.
And even then, it's just, my kids were grown when I went to my first airline, and it was still extremely difficult.
Yeah, I mean, me, myself, you guys know, I'm single as a dollar bill, all right? Single, ready to mingle, no children, and for me, it was still a struggle. Like, I'm somebody that's take care of their finances since I was a teenager. I'm on top of stuff, and I found myself, like, falling behind in bills. Not because, I'm irresponsible, I choose not to pay it. Well, I ain't got the money. So it's one of those struggles. Like, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad that I did it. Not once, but twice, 2 times over. But I'm over the life. Because like Nora said, it's a lifestyle. Like, it's not just like, this is just a job, I'll just go to work. No, you have to plan your future knowing that these people are going to call you to be on reserve. You have to plan your future that way. And birthdays, holidays, you can kiss those goodbye. Especially if this was 30, 40 years ago, I would say being a flight attendant had a lot more benefits for the actual employees. Today, there are benefits and there are pluses, but there's still a long way to go if they're going to try to make things better for the future generations that are coming up. If they want to make things better. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe that's a part of it. But ultimately, just do your research. Do your research. Don't take one person's opinion on it. See how much you can get about the topic. If you're interested in an airline, look up that airline's history. See what their pay scale is looking like. And just never stop learning. Never stop learning. So keep pushing forward. Nora, thank you for joining us tonight. This was really awesome. We got to do more of these. So
I hope this was helpful to whoever's interested in this industry, because it is an amazing job.
It is.
But you have to have your eyes open, my friends. Wide open. Wide open. And make it work for you.
Yes.
Don't work for it. Make it work for you.
Make it work for you. Love that. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your love and support. And we will be, I don't know, I got to figure out an outro or what I'm going to do to end these segments, Nora. But I appreciate you guys. Have a great week. Bye.